What's up, team? This is Paul from Get Yours Online Training and Nutrition. If I look a little bit kind of weary and tiresome, it's because I am. I literally just got back from the airport about 20 minutes ago. I've been coaching rugby to junior rugby players in Brașov in Romania for the last week or so. And it's great fun, amazing experience, great place. I'd love to go back there, but it has kind of tuckered me out slightly. But I'm a professional, got a job to do, and today that job is to present to you episode number 3 of Rugby Fitness Responses. The question this week was from one of my clients, Max, and it was essentially how important is body composition in rugby performance? I'm glad he asked that question because it seems to be a topic that a lot of young players in particular are really kind of hot on. They really want to know answers, and it's actually causing a lot of people to go down the wrong path when it comes to their rugby training and how they prioritise their training to get better at rugby. So to answer your question in short, Max, how important is body composition to rugby performance? Not as important as you might think. I alluded to this in my previous video. In a book written by, basically an introduction to strength training book written by Greg Nuckols and Omar Isuf, they talked about anything kind of under 20% body fat, and you really won't notice any real negative effects on your sport. Or even in a sport like rugby where, you know, aerobic and anaerobic conditioning is important, unless you're carrying, 20+%, it's not going to stop you hitting high levels of aerobic and anaerobic conditioning, provided your training is where it needs to be. I understand that when young players see players like James Haskell, Sonny Bill Williams, Lee Halfpenny, guys that you see them with their shirts off and they are just shredded. They look like they're chiseled out of granite, and obviously they just happen to be world-class players as well. So people think, oh, well, I've got to look like that in order to be a really good player. To be really big and strong, I have to carry no fat, and that's, I've got maximum strength to weight ratio is the kind of is the term you would use. But the simple truth is, you are not going to be able, as a young player, to gain, elite levels of strength and conditioning if you are constantly in a calorie deficit, which you would have to be to get yourself down from, say, your natural, body fat percentage of, say, 14 to 16%, to get down to, say, 10% or below 10% and look like some of these guys look. You're going to have to be in a constant deficit for quite some time. It's going to be months. And if those months are your off season, when you're supposed to be getting really strong and getting really explosive and getting really, really fit, if those months are spent with you eating less than you need to be to actually just maintain your body weight, then you are not going to be getting the most out of your training. You're actually going to be negating your ability. To give you an example of someone who carries plenty of body fat but is still an exceptional player, and is actually an exceptional player largely due to their body mass. Billy Vunipola plays for England, number 8. His statistics from the previous Six Nations were very, very, very impressive when compared to his back row counterparts. He's probably carrying the most body fat of any of the back rowers in the Six Nations, and yet I'm pretty sure his meters made per carry were the highest. His total number of carries, which is a sign of work rate, was right up there. I think he beat the most defenders out of anyone who wasn't a back. He was top of so many statistics. His tackling numbers were through the roof as well. This is a guy that is carrying probably around 20%, maybe more body fat, and yet he is an elite rugby player, and he looks elite in comparison to other elite rugby players. So I think if you needed any proof that looking like a cover model is not necessarily or is not in fact a necessity at all for being an elite player, then I think Billy Vunipola is an example of that. Yes, he brought his weight down, and that has definitely had a positive effect on his rugby, but he was in a much higher bracket of body fat percentage to begin with. If you are in that kind of 20% and less, then it is far more important that your gym work, your training is on point, and yes, that you're not eating garbage, you're not eating unnecessary, vast amounts of fats and carbs that you're not using. But you need to be eating enough to be making those strength gains, training like an animal 5 times a week in the off season, that is far more important to performance than going paleo and looking shredded for the beach. So Max, I hope that answered your question. As always, guys, if you like this series and you've got questions that you want answered, whack them in the comment section below. The comment that gets the most likes before next Thursday will be what I answer in next Friday's video. So this is Paul from Get Yours Online Training and Nutrition. I'm probably going to go to sleep now. I'm signing out. Have a great weekend. I'll speak to you all soon.